What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're starting our new DIY series where we're going to do, well, the series is basically where I have a few little projects going along and I'm just going to show you guys how I built these items and how I made them, so on and so forth. So stick around to find out more. What's up Fanatics family, how's it going? Welcome back to the new DIY series. I'm really happy with how the competition went. It went really well, so we're definitely going to be running that one again. As I said previously, maybe we'll do a winter one and a summer competition, and maybe we'll have a few more varieties in the classes. Because we got quite a lot of entries, which is really good to see, so I'm sure next time we can expand it and make it slightly better. We've got about 4,500 members on the group now, maybe more, can't quite remember. So if you can just hit that subscribe button below, it really helps me out. The Facebook group is growing so quickly, just want that YouTube channel to grow even quicker if we can. So hit your bell notifications and the subscribe button. If you aren't part of the Facebook group, I recommend checking the link out in the description. We've got some really knowledgeable, really good members on there, and the Facebook group is just growing into something that's really nice place to be, to learn and to share your knowledge about fancy goldfish. Also, you may have noticed I've got a new t-shirt on, so we've got a bit of merch which is sort of in a trial run at the moment, doing a little bit of development on that, and also the banner, need to redo the banner, so there's a few bits to come. But on to today's video. So just before we get started, I just want to mention this video is on how I built my outdoor pond, which you'll see a picture right here. It's about 425 litres and the fish go out there in the summer, and it's just really nice for them to have natural algae, natural sunlight, etc., and a little bit more space. Unfortunately, the tank is really heavy, but it can be moved around with 2, 3, 4 people, so it's quite nice to be able to move it around instead of having a fixed pond in place. If I was to do it again, maybe I'd do it slightly bigger, maybe a bit shallower as well. But let's check out how I built it. So in the first picture here, you can see I used 2x2s for the main frame. Also in the background you can see some ply boards. This was actually marine ply, so these boards were 120 centimeters wide by 240 long, and then I think I had about 32 by 2s. So this picture here is where I built the base of the tank. So you can see here I've got the bit of marine ply with the frame being built around it, with the 2x2s. So I also used a lot of screws in this, maybe 300, 400 screws, just to make sure everything was solid and really strong, because the last thing you want is to finish the project and then the sides start bowing, etc. Once I knew the size I wanted, so 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, then I made the construction for the frames. So as you can see here, there's 8 struts across and then 2 each side to make the base frame. Then similar to the picture before, there's a few clamps holding it all together while I screwed it all together. And then here's the finished product. As you can see here, there's quite a lot of timber in the build, just using the timber to map out how I'm going to build the tank, because it's always good to do a little mock-up of the tank or your build before you actually start screwing everything together. Because as you know, you have to measure twice and cut once. So once the 2 frames were done, as per this picture here, they were fitted together. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap at the front, so the center board would go in and then there'll be a gap panel and the back panel would slot in, and then this was all screwed together. And then here you can see I'm just putting the side pieces on, so again the 18mm marine ply just to start forming the box shape. And then similar to the first pieces, I just built the frames around here, as per the picture just here. And then screwed that all together, and you can see the tank is starting to take shape. And then as you can see here, there's some small gaps at the top This was only because the marine ply wasn't quite wide enough that I needed, so I had to put a few strips around here. But if you want to make the tank similar to as this one, then you can get some wider ply, which will be much smoother on the inside. Here's the little bit of strips of wood that I put in. As you can see on the picture, I actually countersunk all the screws in, and then these would later be filled with some poly filler or like wood filler. And then that's the sides and the back done briefly. So we're going to go on to the front. So the front piece, because I wanted a window, I had to build the frame, and it needed to be really solid so there was no flexing. So you can see I've used the 2x2s to make like a U shape, and I bolted these all screwed these all together, and then with a jigsaw I cut out the front window. So I had the marine ply one side, the 3 2x2 U shapes, and then it was sandwiched with another piece of marine ply, and then all the gaps were just filled with wood filler, and then this was all sanded down nice and smooth for any paint application. Here you can see I put the front in place. This was before I had the marine ply sandwiched onto it, so just to make sure that it all measured up and it all aligned properly, because as you know, wood with the different temperature or different moisture, it can warp or bend slightly, so I needed to make sure everything was perfectly square. And then I flipped the tank over, starting to get really heavy now. Then I filled all the gaps between the struts with some 50mm polystyrene sheet, just to help make it a little bit more insulated, just to help keep the temperature stable, because as it is an outdoor tank, especially in summer, you might have slightly different daytime and winter temperatures, so this helps to keep that temperature stable, especially with a polycarbonate cover on top. And then as you can see here, the tank is really starting to take shape now. I made sure all the marine ply was attached on, and you can see there's quite a lot of seams, so there did need to be quite a lot of filling and sanding down, but the tank started to take its shape now. And then here's a picture of underneath. You can really see the structure and how much wood has gone into this tank, and it is so heavy. You can see each panel is a sandwich of 2 18mm marine ply boards sandwiched between the 2x2s, and then the polystyrene will all go in the bottom, just like this picture here. Then once the polystyrene was all in, the bottom was sealed again with another sandwich of the marine ply. I didn't quite have enough marine ply in the end, so I just had to do a few bits in the middle. And then now the tank is actually the box shape, I had to finish the top, so I used some marine ply to cap the top. I just used a jigsaw to cut these pieces out so they bridged around the corners, just to give it a nice smooth finish before I sanded it all down. And then here's the finished product just before I sanded it all down and put all the wood filler on it. And then as you can see here, the wood filler's all on. I can't remember what filler I used. I think it was or some type of wood filler. So I pushed this all into all of the little gaps and crevices, and then after that it was all sanded back, so it was all nice and smooth, ready for the paint application. So as you can see here, I used a black rubber pond paint. If I was to do this again, I'd probably use fiberglass, because you just get a much nicer finish, and it's definitely going to be waterproof if you do it right. Unfortunately, with this pond paint, I did have a few leaks, so I did have to do quite a few coats. I think I did, because I had this pond paint left over from another project, I did about 10 coats in the end. This is like a rubberized pond paint. Alternatively, I'd probably use like an epoxy, like a Pond Armor, I think it's called. It's a good one, and it sets like a plastic, or G4 as well, but obviously G4 is clear, so I'm not sure if they do like a coloured version, but you might want to check that out. And then as you can see here on the outside, I used like a brick masonry paint, so it was like a ivory white colour. So I did loads of coats on this, made sure all the gaps were filled. Then as you can see, next job was to get the glass and the filter in. So I laid the tank on its front, and then I did 3 beads of silicone on the inside of the pond, and then I laid the glass flat and then put some weights just to push it down. and this worked well, and the glass never leaked. You can see the tank's actually in the upright position because this was a few days after it had cured. And then obviously in the back the filter was siliconed in as well. And I know you can see in the picture that there's a few bricks just holding it up. There's actually a piece of acrylic that I bent with a bit of heat and bent that into a U shape, and then that's silicone just to reinforce the filter, make sure it's holding up right. I could have used like an big external filter, or like a pond canister filter, but I just wanted the tank all as one contained unit, so there was no leaks. And I really like these dual filters. As you've seen, I've also got them on the main tank indoors. They're just really easy to clean and service, and I just like that it's all one contained unit. So here you can see the finished product and finally put in place outdoors in my garden. I made a few Chinese symbols that go on the front. I believe it says Water King, after like the ranchus are the king of goldfish. I made these just out of the leftover plyboard, just with a jigsaw, and then I just sanded these down nice and smooth and then painted them with the pond paint so they're waterproof. I've also got a little bubble wall that I built in the back. Just a small piece of airline tube that's just siliconed all the way in the back with some holes in it, and then this runs up the corner through the filter and then out the side. I know it's probably a bit too powerful for the goldfish, so I need to get a smaller air pump, but you get the idea. And then on the back there's actually a small floodlight that I got off eBay. It's just all like a warm white light, and it's quite nice in the evenings in summer just to turn that on if you're eating outdoors, just to see the fish. And then as you can see here, here's a little walk around video of the tank with the bubble wall on, and then I just got a few ferns just planted on the side just to look quite nice. As you can see, there's also a switch box on the side, and then I've mounted a thermostat as well on here just to keep the temperature stable. I used a titanium 300 watt heater in the tank. I don't run it normally, but if the temperatures at the night are going down or dipping a bit, then I just flick the heater on just to maintain the temperature and just to stop any wild swings. And then the switch box just controls the air pump, the filter pump, and the heater, and also the lights as well. So I hope I've covered everything in that build. If you've got any questions, just drop a little comment below the video. Alternatively, you can just post something on the Facebook group if you want. But yeah, so I hope the new DIY series has helped some people, or maybe given some people a little bit of an insight into how you could build your own pond. Maybe you'll do one yourself for summer. If you do, I hope you'll put some pictures on the Facebook group and share how you did it. But that's all for this video. Next week we're probably going to be doing some more back to basics series. I've still got a lot to cover, and soon it will be breeding season. The fish will be going outdoors, and I'll separate the males and females, and hopefully we're going to spawn the calicos, so fingers crossed that works out. But once again, thank you all for watching, and happy fish keeping.